In order, please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call. John?
Here.
Scott?
Here.
Steph?
Here.
Dale's absent. Mark here. Approve the agenda.
Anything?
Anything else, anything extra add to it, guys?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion by Steph to approve the agenda. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Approval of the July 7th meeting minutes. Take some time to read them.
You're gonna talk to me?
Hmm.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Sounds like
Yeah,
we're
I
gonna
got
do
it.
that too. A rotary.
Road washed out. No cigarette.
That was, if you had the right ring.
No.
Some people have two rings. Some people have party line.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kelly's grandmother, they had a party line. She used to just leave it off the hook. Just listen. She knew all the gossip.
Yeah, the old days, huh?
Yeah.
Are you done with the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
And dispense with the reading.
Yep, sorry.
Second.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? I'll have a roll call on this. John?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Steph?
Aye.
Mark? Aye. Passes. Bills, the vouchers?
Any new ones, Sam?
No new ones. There was just one correction of a account number, but it has been fixed in your packet right now. It was the NDDOT Local Government Division for the $129,614. That was coming out of engineering, and now it is coming out of the road special project miscellaneous. There isn't a budget in there. There is funds, but there's not a budget number in there. That's why you're seeing a negative amount on that. And that's the same with that bottom one for the sea change printing. For the election, there is funds within the election. We're not overdrawing the election, but I wanted to start from scratch this year to kind of break them out and make sure that I'm having the right budget numbers for the right account. So that's why that's a negative amount.
South Central Dakota Regional.
South Central. South Central. That's your dues, the one that the cities pay the 1/4 and then we pay the 1/4.
I think usually the last one to pay, we make sure everybody else has.
Yep, everybody's paid theirs, so I just want to make sure that this is the right year, that they're not asking. Yep. So that's just our the 1/4. All the cities have paid their 1/4. So.
What's that for, Sam? What's it used for?
South Central. They do up our mitigation plan. They help with some grant programs. I'm not really sure.
That's a parasitic quasi-government group.
All right.
Roosevelt Grand Dakota Hotel.
Me and Maddie had our auditor and treasurer convention, so then that's just a hotel that we stayed
That
at.
Came out of,
General travel.
out of the auditors and treasurers.
You guys moved that into the general so that everybody's is in one. It's not in the individual budgets anymore.
I understand that.
Yep.
But it was supposed to, the reason we did that is so that could be pre-approved. Not so that it was a slush fund, so that we had control over what the travel was, and it had to be approved before it was spent.
Okay. We've never done that in the past since we pushed that out.
That's why we
so-
moved it there.
Okay.
So you want them to pre-approve to go to conventions?
Well, pre-approved to spend money, yes. Because we didn't have a way, we don't have a way to, if we just give anybody and everybody money to go to any convention and spend any amount of money they want, what will happen? Is a convention necessary? I mean, does it improve the status of the citizens of Griggs County?
Usually, because it improves the employee, but I'm a pro-convention person, so I'm a pro for learning education going to conventions.
That's for your self-improvement, but that isn't for the improvement of the citizens of Griggs County. That's what
But wouldn't it improve the citizens of Griggs County if the employee for Griggs County gets more education?
Tell me how. That's always
Because
the
they're able-
argument. Tell me how. No,
More knowledge to them, they're able to bring
are
that,
we
share that
lack-
with it.
So you're saying we're lacking in something that we're not providing to the citizens now?
Well, not if you don't have enough education for it.
Are we
Education's
lacking in anything
continuing.
to provide to the citizens now? If we're not, then there's no need to improve anything. There's no need to improve the computer system or any of that. That argument that you're using is the way governments get expanded and expanded and expanded for no purpose. Are there services that the citizens of Griggs County are lacking? If there are, we have to cover them if they are a essential service. If not, we're just spending money for the sake of spending money. You're convoluting private industry and...
No, I'm talking about
and
Sam.
government.
Sam's going to the conventions for education to be able to run her department.
So you're saying she can't run her department without that education?
Well, you can need to continually be educated. Don't you think people need to be continually educated?
That's what life is about. That isn't someone telling you how you're supposed to do your job. That's doing your job and learning from doing your job.
Who's going to teach you?
Doing your job, you learn by what needs to be done. How can somebody teach you anything?
When you go to,
Someone far removed from this position, whether it be a college professor or anybody else, can't teach you or me how we should do our specific job. We're supposed to be able to use our own mind and figure that out. Otherwise, we're just a bunch of robots.
I go because of education on changes of what goes on in your department and such. So, and you learn from all of that when you go there. But again, that's yours and my own opinion.
Yeah.
So, I'm a firm believer on.
Well, I'm just out because I
ongoing,
won my
but-
whole life depending on myself and making decisions on my
that's
own.
good for you.
And it's worked very well. And
For you,
so
yes.
if it works for me of below average intelligence, it should work for anybody.
Right.
It should.
Intelligence.
Did you pick up some new information there, Sam, when you were there?
I did.
Good
I
job.
learned different things about like the delinquent tax and
Yeah.
all the legal things,
Oh,
and
but-
others counties have been sued over different things, so they've switched it and stuff. And election issues, I learned that all counties had some issues during election time, so I didn't feel left out.
I don't
I'm
think
glad
anybody
you
was
were
going to say you
educated.
shouldn't go. My point was we put it in that slush fund for the same reason we put everything in there so that we could decide whether or not that was a legitimate expense. That's our purpose. Because we can't really review a bill after it's paid.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I see since Jeff's here, I got a question on his, it says county agent special fund is for $20. Was it a lot of fun or just special fun? Right at the top of the page, number 6. I think we forgot a D on the end.
It gets cut off.
Oh,
Yeah.
it only goes so many letters.
Yep. It gets cut off.
So, okay, so back, so how would you do this? How would you correct it then? What do you wanna do to correct the,
Well, we can't correct this.
I know,
In
what
the
what do you
future,
wanna do in the future? What do you wanna do?
well, I mean, obviously, they knew they were going to the,
Correct, that's correct.
and so the meeting before, this is an expense coming up, this is a proposed expense,
Okay.
and then have the
So we
group decide on it.
Okay, so we can put something like, say, next convention we have one in October, right? There's some
Correct.
conventions.
Correct.
So we can tell it, so what you want is, you want an estimate of how much, or at least a ballpark figure.
Because when we were putting it in the individual budgets, not each individual, to make it equitable, each individual budget should get a certain amount of money.
Money
Well,
for
some
that.
of them didn't take that much, some of them took
Took
more.
more. I see
So
your
we
point.
put it into a one big account and then let everybody decide on whether or not that was a legitimate core. And we always did fund the ongoing training for the convention for every one of the
Mhm.
departments, but it wasn't the same amount of money for each one, so that we
Each one's
lumped it all
different.
together.
Okay.
Because what happened was, well, I didn't spend my money on continuing education, I want to use it for something else.
Mhm.
And so that's how it ended up in that one fund.
Okay.
Or I could take advantage of some of those flyers that I get that are in Vegas and stuff. I mean, that's me.
And we're having problems with her running off to Vegas and putting in these funds. So,
Yeah.
I make a motion to accept the bills.
The vouchers as presented. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Scott. Any discussion? Any discussion? I'll have roll call vote. John?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Steph?
Aye.
Mark says aye. Motion carries. Road Department.
Wayne, before you start, so I don't forget, I don't know why, and I'm not, they want, 3 different people now want those lines, both those lines, the yellow one and the white one painted, so they just end at a dead, going straight ahead.
They did do that.
I just drove on it now.
They painted the,
About that much of the yellow line,
and they painted about 15 feet of the white.
no, they want it so that it doesn't turn, so you gotta go all the way back to where it starts turning and paint all that.
Right.
I'm just telling you what.
Oh, boy.
Supposedly, they went by, especially the yellow line, they went by the old one, but the engineer put these little strips in there, painted around, that's as far as it's supposed to go. Well, the yellow line got painted farther on, and then it should have been a skip to where you're starting to go straight.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
And like you said, I go there for a week and it never bothered me one bit.
No. And now I know it, I can't get into Bedford, I keep having to make that corner.
Keep going left turn.
Yeah.
So think you're in NASCAR.
Well, I was, after the meeting, Tim emailed me and said that he had sent in to the prime contractor that line wasn't painted properly, and then he talked to J&J Striping out of Rockford or Carrington, wherever it is, and then, so they were gonna do it.
Can't they just send us a gallon of paint to go
We were
with a
just gonna go
roller?
up- we were gonna go up to the hardware store, buy one of those driveway patch
Yeah.
painters and a roller and just roll it on.
Sounds like a couple $1,000 deal to get this thing.
I think there was an episode of Seinfeld
Exactly.
where he did the same thing.
Yeah, so,
But
Okay,
anyway,
Wayne.
I've did my duty and brought it to your attention, and
okay. So in your packet, we received an email from Brian Fuchs to Wayne and Samantha. Please share this with your commissioners at the next meeting. If needed, I could be conferenced and depending on the meeting date and time. If you have any questions or want to discuss this, I understand the reference project has experienced some issues, contractor delays during the construction. I understand there have been some failing tests with oil. Also, the engineer selected by Griggs County has run out of hours to provide the necessary oversight and close out of the project. Wayne reached out to me a while back to ask some questions on engineer requesting a supplement. Is this normal? Does it happen often, etc.? And I believe he shared our discussion with you at a meeting. I'd like to provide some background information on how engineering contracts and the scope and fee are agreed upon, which we do know.
Yeah,
Yeah. So it's not by bid, by low bid or anything, we know that. If the scope of work changes, the engineer may request a supplemental agreement for work or expenses out of scope if the current fee structure cannot allow for these items. And we know that they can get a supplemental agreement. But this, materials testing is required to ensure the material used meets project specifications. My understanding for this failing test in this project regarding tip seal oil, DOT's fuel sampling, it goes through tests, the manual says you're supposed to do. All those also details what to do when failing tests occur, and that's to keep checking. And while Griggs County is the owner of the project, Griggs County signed an agreement attached with North Dakota DOT to provide 80.93% of the funds to construct and provide the project oversight. According to Part 3, which is in there, and it's got parentheses or around it circled. Details Griggs County provide engineering services, material testing, inspection, work as required by the contract documents and the current editions of North Dakota DOT sampling and testing manual, the standard specifications for road and bridge construction. Based on the information I received, it appears Griggs County isn't complying with the agreement they signed to receive 80.93% of the funds to construct this project. Encourage you to revisit the topics to ensure compliance with the agreement you signed to receive these funds.
Should I decipher what he said for you?
Yeah.
All right.
He said you better do it.
He said, no. He said that Griggs County Commission is not in charge of Griggs County's money, that we are, as bureaucrats, we tell you how much of your money you're gonna spend. Nonsense.
And why?
I'll tell you why also. Because Brian Fuchs goes to Peacock Alley and the rest of the places a lobbyist take him. So he's on the contractor's side. And that's always that way. These bureaucrats are always towards that side, and they use taxpayer dollars to do it. They use your money, my money, all the rest of taxpayers' money in order to embellish themselves. And this is nonsense.
We've had the same experience when we've had punitive damages.
Yep, same thing.
And they've said, well, no one's ever enforced it. Well, I don't understand why people wouldn't have enforced it, because it's for the benefit of the county, but they never have, and I think it's ridiculous.
Bureaucrats love to spend other people's money, and that's all this is about. Right? Yeah, I mean, I told you when we voted on this what was going to happen last meeting. That's exactly what they're so obvious that it.
But why do they even have us in the loop if we're not supposed to have a say about the money? Correct?
Because without us, there's no need for the bureaucrats to oversee us. is the short answer to that one.
I mean, we'll just have.
We're essential to them, and just like this North Central Conference that we just gave them $5,000. We're essential to their existence, but they hate having us around because we interfere with what they might want to do.
Well, guys, what are your wishes?
So, okay, can they do anything, a question for you, are they withholding any funds?
They haven't yet.
Yeah.
That's my question, I guess.
Will they withhold their
Yeah,
percentage,
that's
their
what I'm saying.
80% of the $2,000 that I don't know that.
Yeah, that's my point.
I don't know that.
Well, that's how they, you know what I'm saying?
No, I don't know that. There's only one way to find out.
Today we were paying $129,000 back
right-
to the
right here.
Yeah.
DOT because they paid
Yeah.
X amount of dollars
Yeah.
for the contract, for the original
Yeah.
construction contract.
Yeah. But what it amounts to is we're relinquishing any control of the taxpayers' dollars to a bunch of bureaucrats. And if we can, the only plus side of this is I'm quite sure next time we interview an engineer that we'll be a little more conscientious of things like this when we ask the questions, as we should be. I mean, it tells you something about the whole process.
Right.
So I was connected to that last meeting, and he was not entirely correct with how the engineering hiring process goes. I wanted to explain it to everybody. You have, as commissioners, you have to look at the qualifications. However, that doesn't mean you can't go further.
No.
So once the person passes, or once engineering firm passes the qualifications, then they're in, but you can have additional qualifications for that. So if you want to ask them about their fee rates, or have them bid their fee rates, that group that is qualified can then bid fee rates. No one does it, and I've spoken about this with Aaron Burst and the Association of Counties, and we think it's ridiculous that no one has done this, but no other counties, and I don't know if any cities do it, but there are cities that I've also spoken with, city attorneys and state attorneys, that we all think this is ridiculous, that people don't go further, because you can. It's just that you have to make sure that they're qualified first, and then you can make them sharpen their pencil. There's nothing that says that you can't do that.
Yeah,
But no one ever has gone through that effort to do it.
So you don't pick one engineer, you pick however many are qualified. We do it all the time in the federal contracting system. So we pre-qualify and then we bid the projects. And that's the same way this is supposed to work. We've just never had enough applicants. We've had 2 at times. And who would ever thought that the applicant that was trying to break into the business would then go ahead and try and abuse the system? I never thought that was going to happen. But Jamie's right.
Well-
From now on, we should pre-qualify and then take it the next step and make them bid their price, which he did bid the price, except it wasn't a binding bid.
Yeah.
And I'm super. I can't believe that they're not going to eat this. I wouldn't even. I mean, if they're going to want to continue to work for the county, why they wouldn't eat it?
Yeah.
For that exact reason. Look what the relationship with KLJ has been. 15 years. I mean,
And KLJ has done it. They've done it a couple times too.
But they could eat it on the get
Yeah.
it back on the next project or the next 3 or 4 projects. I mean, it's absolutely absurd that they would have done this on the first project.
Yep. That's what I thought, but they did.
Nothing like biting the hand that feeds you.
Yep.
So I don't know if you guys should vote on it again and deny it so that I can relay the message to.
I mean, we've already got,
Just out of curiosity, what would be our actual share? It's not 10,000, right? It would be percentage there?
It's 19.7%
Of that.
of 10,000.
Okay, whatever, I'm just,
But keep in mind,
I know,
but keep in mind, if we vote to allow it, we're not only spending Griggs County taxpayer dollars of $1,900, we're spending state and federal
Well, I'm
dollars
just,
of
my point is.
$18,000. Yeah, I know.
just-
Well,
yeah,
much money.
How much would
Yeah.
be, that's
Yeah.
my point.
Well, the thing is,
1,000.
all that money is ours.
yeah,
The federal money is given to us.
yeah.
The state keeps it for us to put in the bank.
And we can use it on a
Build up
different
in
project.
project, and
Yeah.
80.3% is
Yeah.
Griggs County's.
So what's the suggestion on this?
Jamie, can you do any, can they go back on us or do anything on it?
I will have to go back and look at the agreement. I don't know what they can do or what can be done.
Find out.
As long as we.
I mean, what's the matter?
Yeah.
I don't want to. I don't think we want to pay the other 80% of the project. I think I need to go back and do some research to make sure that
80% of the 10,000.
I want to. Before I give you guys an answer and say yeah, just fight it. I think I better go and do a little research on it and make sure
Okay.
that's
Well, that's what I was
going to
thinking.
cost
Jamie.
Okay.
$8,000.
So I'd vote that we table this until Jamie gives us some
Yep.
guidance.
Give us legal advice.
There. Do we need a motion?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do a
Okay.
motion. I think John had a motion on the table to table the the discussion of the engineering fees on the chip seal, on the seal coat project. Can I have a second?
I'll second it.
Scott seconded. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of motion? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion is tabled.
Okay.
Anything else, Wayne?
So, this bridge project,
Yeah.
do you think, would you guys want me to start the process of making an RFP for engineering for that Decker Bridge? They said it takes, like for the Corps of Engineers or somebody to approve some of this stuff, it can take 2 months.
Okay.
So, and I would bring it to the next meeting to be approved by the commission like
RFP.
before.
What is it, you and Dale that are on that committee, John? I think that's done at the past.
So we have to,
What are your wishes?
Let's go forward.
Keep pursuing.
Yep.
Is that a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Scott to pursue an RFP on the Decker Bridge project,
engineering, yep.
engineering of the Decker Bridge project. Do I have a second?
So what does that,
Just wait, I need a second before I have my discussion.
I'll second.
I'll second. Discussion.
What does that obligate us to, Wayne? What's our obligation if we pursue forward on the RFP?
Well, we've already voted on, I believe,
Yep.
to go ahead with the project.
No, we didn't vote to go ahead with the project. We voted to go ahead and see whether or not the funds were available, if we would be
The
approved.
funds were available, they said. So, my understanding is all the engineering would be paid for, preliminary,
That's what I-
project and construction. What meeting it was in?
I think that was 2 ago.
Yeah, 'cause I remember asking about that. You just said.
Can you go back, Sam, and
No, the trouble is a lot of times everything isn't printed in the printout.
Well, I know, but
No,
I,
I know there was discussion and
we couldn't have voted to go ahead with a project, Wayne, and be obligated to something that we don't know any specifics on.
don't
There's
know
no
the
way-
price?
You don't know anything, so there's not a chance in the world that we voted to go ahead with this project. We voted to go ahead and investigate what this
Pursue.
would entail.
Continue to pursue. I think we're, like John's saying, I think we had to have a dollar figure on what it would cost to replace it and how much our share would
well, the
be.
estimate was $1.2 million.
Yeah, remember you saying that?
Yeah.
So that's just the estimate.
Yeah.
And it was
But,
voted against, it was 3-1 or 1 to 3.
But going, as far as to get an RFP, I can't see that other than time, that you're gonna, it isn't, we're not obligated to anything if there isn't a project.
Well, that was what I asked, and Wayne indicated we are obligated, so that's why I asked the question.
I mean,
I think it implicates we're obligated, but we already were obligated if we filed the papers.
We're not obligated to take that money and spend the money, Wayne, until we actually sign the
And if you
paperwork to
wanna
go ahead
turn-
with
you
the
can turn
project.
down any engineering firm as far as that goes, or the project bid.
What I have is motion by Uranus to go forward with the Decker Bridge project with the bridge funding, with the bridge grant funding.
There we go.
There is-
So we were trying to secure the funding. That doesn't, we've got all kinds of grant funding that we haven't used in prior projects.
Prior to this, Mr. Fuchs said the money was there, we just had to make the decision to go ahead, which we did, so.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor to go forward with, what do you call it?
RFP.
This
RFP
is hiring the engineer to.
Yep.
Look at it, bro.
to design a project. Is that what they do? Do you have to go through and select an engineer again?
This is just for the selection.
This is a selection.
Of an engineering firm.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. We'll do a roll call vote. John,
No.
Scott,
Yep.
Steph,
Sure.
and Mark votes yes. Motion carries. Anything else, Wayne?
That's it, it's enough.
Maintainers are all running. Gravel's
We had
going
problems.
on.
We had, heater hose leaking on Jeff's the other day, Monday, I think it was. He came up and found out where it was leaking, and he went back to Fargo, got parts.
I think last meeting we were talking about a culvert project.
Culvert
so
project,
done.
on
That-
County Road 21.
Yep.
Turned out real well.
We took out all those concrete sections.
Cement.
Or the gem, who saved those?
Yeah, but they're
Pieces.
so heavy that
Yeah, tell them how much, tell them how, you took, oh, Tom could really barely lift them.
about 8,000 pounds a piece.
Wow.
They're heavy.
And his tractor would just lift up so high, and
Yeah, I was there watching.
Throw a chain around with a cat and drag them out.
we put a chain around with a cat and truck them up,
Payload will pick them up.
rolled them down the hill.
Did you take them to town then and store them someplace or?
No,
They're down in that.
they're down at the bottom.
Oh,
There's a big
Hole.
ravine gully that's washed down below the hill, and that might help.
is the lip gone on them?
Lip is gone on a lot of them. We couldn't get them out from the west end, you had to take them out from the east end just because the way they
Yeah.
hooked together. And then he was able to lift it up
Was it break a
almost
little
to
bit?
the top of the cut. And then, oh yeah, you could set them on the side and then you put a chain through it and pull it on.
How big were they?
They're 6 feet by
6 feet.
5.5 feet inside, and then they're about that thick.
So terrible expensive when you buy them. And if there was any chance we could save them, if we thought to use them in a different project of wrapping them together, you know, cabling them together so they'd hold on a spot where it's drier. Yeah, but how many years they've been there?
Probably been in there since the
50s?
late 50s.
You know,
They've been rebuilding.
they've been very good. Okay, budget. Thanks, Wayne.
Should we just do the rest of the stuff first and
Okay,
then get the budget?
at the end. Finley Farmers Tax Exemption.
All right, I've got an email here. I actually didn't, I talked to you earlier this week, excuse me, last week, Mark,
Yeah.
about going to the AG's office. I contacted Aaron Burst and seen if I was heading in the right direction, and actually he did not remember that the code had been changed, so I'm trying to pull up an email here. Email between him and actually the League of Cities attorney. Let's see if I can find it.
When did that code come in fact?
2017. So the email states under 4057.103, which is the section of code for this tax exemption, a city, county can grant a property tax exemption for a primary sector business without a vote. For a retail business, a county city with a population of only 40,000 may grant a property tax exemption only after you vote. So, I believe that we have to have a vote.
Sure.
I even gave you exactly what the words that you need to do to put it in the,
Yeah, the code does.
on the code, saying that. But the it doesn't give the specifics, it just states that it'll give the commissioners the ability to make that decision.
Right.
Make a decision to do this.
Right, so-
So doing that once, would that make it okay for the future?
Yeah.
Right.
For all of them, so, and it wasn't done when it came out in 2017, because nobody's applied, so how would we
Right,
know?
so that's the difference between now and those previous ones, because now it's, the vote is required.
So, in 17, the reason this came about is because the old way of doing it, where that form that was sent in for the essential businesses, the state would grant that form, and the state would come in and they would make up the difference in taxes. And this, when the state got in a budget crisis, they did away with that.
Oh.
So before, when there were exemptions granted, it didn't cost the county residents anything, just like the senior citizens. And the state came in and they took that over, but they did away with that. And then they went to this form now of having the county commission make a decision. But there's still the right of petition by any business. So any business can go put it on the ballot. They can take a petition around to the citizens, they can put it on the ballot on whether or not they should have a tax increase, and then the citizens get to decide.
But I think, according to the verbiage that they have on that, when I read it, it's just like a one-time
Yeah, it's a one-time.
saying,
Yep.
not the specific thing, but just that one-time saying
To
that
grant the commission.
the commissioners need to do it. So after that, we don't need to redo it, put on the ballot every single time,
No.
just the one
Right,
time.
yep, yep.
Who in their right mind would grant the commission the ability to give
You know what?
tax
The
release like that when we
beautiful
screwed it up so bad already?
The beautiful citizens of the community do.
Well, let's see, but then let's put it on
Yeah.
there,
Well,
let's
that's
see.
what we have to, so that they have to say
Did
that
you
we have
remember the
ability.
argument when we were arguing about this? I said over and over and over again, let's put it in the ballot, and you said, we've wasted too much time on this, let's get it over with. Exact words.
So
Yeah.
I'm gonna give a little bit of history. This is kind of neat, the history behind this, because after actually showing Bruce the section of code, he's like, yeah, I remember that because I was lobbying during that period of time, and he actually could name the senator that put it or that drafted the bill. It was done by Senator Cook. It was after Walmart was given an exemption by the city of Mandan for the new Walmart on the north side of Mandan. He wrote it to no longer allow that, so that's why it was done.
Does it expire? Or is it just a one-time deal and it's good forever?
Well, I suppose we could ballot language could change to reflect, you give the authority to the commission for 5 years to do it or whatever, but it doesn't expire unless there's probably a change to the law, because it would just give the commission the power to do it.
Okay.
But the tax, they changed at the same time, they changed it for the tax, the permission for taxing, like the levies, those expired then after 5 or 10 years. That was the same time they put this into effect.
Too bad we didn't know stuff beforehand. Would have made the meetings a whole lot shorter. So, but
Well, like I said, it's changed a lot. Even the lobbyists for the Association of Counties didn't realize that it changed.
right.
Him and I had a long conversation about it, and I'm like, well, here's the law, and yeah, so that would be why there's a difference from 2010 and 2014 to now,
Sure.
because it wasn't allowed. It
So-
wasn't allowed.
Sure.
But any business.
So then they'll just have to. We'll have to put it on there in
Yeah,
November on the ballot, right?
We don't have to.
No?
But
It should be that needs to be an agenda. I mean, we can't do it now. It needs to be
No.
an agenda item, and if the commission so chooses to put it on the ballot, then I guess
Sure.
yeah.
But as you read that, there's a bunch more things that needs to happen. So then a committee needs, first of all, a resolution and ordinance needs to be drafted. And it needs to lay out the specifics, there's 8 of them, on how we do this, what they need to qualify. Then we need to form a committee. And of that committee, there needs to be 1 member from each township and school district on the committee. Then they arrive at a plan on how this is gonna go forward and how it's gonna go forward, and if the entity being granted the exemption fails in there, and how the whole thing works. It's a long, drawn-out process.
Yep.
And then it goes to the public hearing. We didn't even do the hearing right. The hearing is not to negotiate, the hearing is to present what has been negotiated
Oh, beforehand.
to the people, and then the people after that have the ability to then put it onto a ballot and vote against it if they wanted to. So this is not a thing of, we get permission and they come before us and say, yep, you can do it. This is a bunch of work. And if any entity wants a tax exemption, they can do it a lot easier by themselves. They have the right of petition. They can pass a petition around the citizens of Griggs County. They can put it on the ballot. They can name what they want done. And if the citizens vote for it, it's done and we're out of the loop. It's the cleanest way to do it.
Sure.
Okay, thank you, Jamie.
Thank
You have
you.
anything else for us?
No, not that I know of.
Okay,
Yeah.
2018-19 audit.
Have I gotten information?
Where is that?
It's in the back.
Was that email in there?
Yep.
Yeah.
Anything more that I've received, I just put into the back of it all. But yep. So I don't know what you guys want to to do. They will not come before you because they do not do that. This is not a. What did he say?
Well, he did say that two of them can visit. Two people can visit with them. So the ones that had the concerns, Dale and John. If you guys know that one coding is different, feel free to. You guys should visit with them. And you're visiting.
Yeah, but
Really?
Why
I
not?
don't know why they, but
Boy,
Mr.
okay, I can't take it.
Well, they're
Why
open
not?
for-
Is because we are conducting the business of the citizens of Griggs County. It is not supposed to be behind closed doors. It's supposed to be out in the front of the public and everybody. There is no confidential agreement or no confidential audit. An audit is black and white. It is for the purpose of informing the citizens of Griggs County what their financial situation is. I would no more go enter into a behind the doors meeting with an auditor discussing the well-being of the citizens of Griggs County than I would put my gun to my head. And why would we even consider that? This is not confidential information. This is every taxpayer's right to know.
Have they explained why Mr. Rotunda's?
That is in your packet as well.
I saw something there.
He's no longer banned.
They are accepting his audits.
Okay,
And so now they're changing everything on me because when they came in,
Yeah.
they said that they were coming in because Harold's audits were no longer being accepted, and
Yeah.
the state took over all the counties. And now they're saying that they just took over the places that had issues, and so
we didn't.
and
we know
it was
our
because
issue.
we didn't have the building authorities stuff on our audit.
Alright,
So then that's where they're saying we had an issue
okay.
with our audit.
But now he's backing up on that. Now he's saying, well, if you can
He was
explain it
ready.
to us.
Yeah,
So they use the building authority. These guys are not government auditors. They are evidently private sector auditors. And they use the blended equity method, which means if I'm buying something from you and I'm making payments to you, as your equity in that decreases, the equity comes to me and I show
Sure.
on my balance sheet. We're not doing that because this building, we
Yeah.
were not given permission to do it. So the county couldn't own it, so the building authority had to own it. The building authority leases it to
yeah,
us.
yeah.
And then at the end, we will get the equity if we choose to buy it. And if you read his emails, he's backpedaling on all this now. He wants it explained to him. If you want, again, audits are black and white, and audits are not open for negotiation.
So,
And we shouldn't pay them the $28,000 now
That's-
that they demanded of us, because now they're saying that no, it wasn't a demand, and Harold's audits were still okay. these guys they stuck their head neck out there too far, and now they're trying to cover their tracks. There's no doubt about it.
So they cite 541013 political subdivision audit states
Yeah.
out of powers. The state auditor shall perform audits of political subdivision pursuant to 541014 unless otherwise requested by the governing board, ordered by governor or the legislative audit and fiscal review committee, or on petition pursuant to 541015. So none of those have happened. Or at the discretion of the state auditor for alleged improprieties. Did they ever allege any improprieties?
I don't know what that means.
Other than saying
no.
Rotunda was our auditor?
They just said that they were no longer accepting Harold's audits and that they were gonna come in and do all the cities.
Yeah, I don't
They were
think
taking
we
them.
even gave him
So-
permission. did
I
we?
thought it was more of a, yeah, I thought it was a,
It was a kind of a demand.
it was
we're
like,
doing
this is
Yeah.
what's happening.
Yeah.
He's done, we're doing
and
it.
the proof that there was no priorities, no improprieties, is they did the audit, didn't find any.
Yeah.
And they want to try to cover their tracks by saying that we didn't put the courthouse onto the
Yeah.
balance sheet. Well, obviously, we can't put the courthouse on the balance sheet, we didn't own it. That was that's the straw they're grabbing at, so
They
they
tried to
could
find something and say,
yep, here's
Yeah.
why we did it, and look, you guys agreed to it.
Right.
And that's not it.
I think that we should just cite 541013 back to them and say that what are the alleged improprieties other than you didn't like our auditor?
Mhm.
okay. That sounds like a winner, chicken dinner to me.
He said, why don't you think that it should be on there? And I said, well, even the state fire and tornado says it's not our building. I said, we can't have it on the state fire and tornadoes. So they've contacted the state fire and tornado, and
We
now
might get covered yet.
now they're looking into it for us.
But
So-
I mean, that's secondary. What, if you look at the lease agreement, is what,
Sure.
it's black and white. We don't
Yeah.
own the building.
Yep.
And you look at the trustee agreement with the State Bank of North Dakota. We don't own the building.
Yep.
So we can't have equity. We can't have it on our balance sheet.
Sure.
And
Sure.
and the state, the insurance fund looked at that and said, no, you guys don't own the building.
Yep.
The only
Yeah.
people that haven't looked at it is the auditor. The auditor was asking us questions on what he should do, and he wanted guidance on this, basically. Again, audits are black and white.
But I can't see how they can expect us to pay for an audit we didn't approve.
Well, Mark, I'll bet if they did this 50 times, I bet 49 of the counties would roll by along with it.
Yeah, probably.
That's why.
I'm not quite sure what the political motivation is behind the state auditor. The state auditor has audited a lot of weird stuff and gone after a lot of places. He recently he likes the newspaper. He recently was in the newspaper for the Winter Volunteer Fire Department. There was lack of receipts, and I'm guessing a lot of those receipts were probably for beer for the firemen.
Right.
But he publicly scolded the Winter Fire Department and has scared the crap out of every other fire department in the state, and every other volunteer fire department in the state, saying that they shouldn't be drinking beer, grilling steaks for the firemen when they have their meetings, that kind of thing. So he's really gone after a lot of different entities, and I'm not really sure what his motivation is, but yeah, the Winter Fire Department, Volunteer Fire Department, really got scolded about 2 months ago, and it was a press release, and of course it's gone on all over, and it scared the crap out of everybody. But he's done. I mean, he's audited other places that he's not exactly come out looking terribly great.
Did we sign any forms, like prior to when the auditors come, like when Ide Bailey comes to an Parkview, this is my cost, you have to sign it before they even do the
Yeah.
audit? We didn't do that with these guys at all,
They
did we?
said, we're coming in.
And did they not review any of his prior work to see that
We don't know.
building wasn't in there?
Well, I've
Usually
got-
they like to see how did you guys do
Oh,
it?
Harold's brought, so.
We've
Jamie,
submitted
I
all
can
of our
answer- I can
audits
answer
and then
exactly
they've
what the
signed off
motivation
on
is.
them.
The shortfall in the state budget, $28,000 multiplied times all these different
Did,
entities throughout the state.
Did you submit the?
Brings a lot of money into
Yeah.
these state
Harold's-
coffers, that's what it's
18 and
involved.
19?
Yeah,
I sent it to him, yeah.
But
to
And
the
then-
state though, does that,
Yep,
to
I
be
s-
approved?
I sent it to
I
them.
mean, why would it be,
right away in the beginning when they said
you know,
that they hadn't
basically
received it? I
10
said, well, I
times
have
of what
them.
Harold
And I submitted to
charged
them,
us?
and so then they were
Yeah,
a little bit later
Because they
said,
can,
well, we
again,
haven't
they-
seen
they
those.
need
And I said,
money.
I sent
They're-
them to you.
they are
So I
facing
resent
such
them.
a shortfall
And then I
with the
asked Harold to
state
send
because of
them as
the
well.
mismanagement of the oil
And I didn't get a
funds.
response back from Harold
The-
yet,
the-
but I
anything and
did
everything.
submit
State
them.
hasn't read them and reapproved them or anything.
They haven't approved them,
Yeah.
but
I
but
guess
that's
the
that's
biggest
when they
question
said
I would have
that
is,
they're not gonna have
this has
us,
been going on
or they're
since,
not
what,
gonna approve
2015,
the
when
audits.
the
They
Corals
will
was
be
done, so
doing
it's
it,
15, 16,
and we will be
17.
getting
We
it
got
done
that-
now.
that
And
letter.
They were accepted
yeah,
and
it was kind of
they were
very
questioned prior to, I mean,
Well,
harsh.
if
I
you,
felt.
if you remember correctly, Harold brought this up because the state brought it up.
Mm.
And we had a discussion on it with Harold, and Harold said, oh, yeah, you're right, you guys,
Yeah.
yep, and we'll take it back to the state. And that was right after this building was built, and it's been a moot point since then.
Sure.
We've sent many of them in. This is about money.
Yeah.
This is about money. And Harold was causing them problems because he was doing countless schools, counties, everything
Yeah.
else, and even the ones he wasn't doing, he was holding the price down because,
Yeah.
well, Harold's doing it for this, why can't you guys do it?
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
and to get rid of them.
Now he's gonna probably have more counties than he knows what to do with.
Well, if you saw, they said they're not, they were never not accepting his audits, although
Yeah.
they told us they wouldn't accept his audits.
That's right. That's right.
So I don't know what
Okay,
Jamie wants to do with it, but
what do you think we should do, Jamie?
I can send them an email just asking them that question, what the improprieties were that allowed them to come in and do it, and make them answer.
you know,
Okay?
and we have a right to challenge those. It just isn't, we have a right to challenge it, and
Sure.
we haven't done anything different. So if there are improprieties there, they've okayed them many times. We haven't changed the procedures at all.
So our action is to send another email.
I wouldn't do anything.
Sure.
Okay, so I won't send anything, that's,
If you've read his emails, he's trying to.
Are you gonna follow up with the state to see if they accepted the ones that Harold sent you that you submitted in? Then we at least know if it's been accepted or not.
I haven't got a letter back from them that says that it has been, and the way that he said is there's only been one of his audits that's been approved, and I know that that's Central Cass.
So they're not going to approve his at all.
No.
I don't know.
If they weren't gonna approve them, they're just putting them over here. And if they say they use, none of them have been approved. What you have to ask them is, have any of them been denied?
Sure.
And that's the way they operate.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we should. I would call and follow up on the submission that you sent of Harold's, of the 1819s, and see where they're standing with that. Because they haven't told you they're denied yet, have they?
I think it was, I just said I have them, and they said, well, we'd like to look at them. So I sent them in, but I don't know if they've been like,
Follow up with them to see if, like, hey, I sent you those. Are we going to approve them or deny them? Because
Deny them, there you go.
and find out where, have they been denied, kind of thing. So then at least, because if they have Harold's and they're working on that, be like, here, we submit them to you. What are you waiting for? And then you can just toss this guy to the wayside.
And in previous years with Harold, when he would send something into the state, a lot of times they'd send it back and say, no, we need this
Yeah.
change or this change, this change. Harold will bring it back to us, we'd change it. So it isn't, this is wrong, big stamp denied. The process used to work, there was a back and forth.
Sure.
And that isn't the case anymore. They just wanted Harold gone because they wanted the revenues from into the state coffers from all this.
Okay.
And they got too pushy and now they're.
Have we paid Harold?
I haven't received any additional information from him yet. But no. And we haven't ever paid him for the 18 and 19. He hasn't requested those.
But what, there was a bill here a while ago, right, for
Yeah.
10,000, right, or something like that?
the previous
Did we get our
year.
20s done? This
Yeah.
isn't the 20s. Did we get 20 done yet? 20 and 21.
And that's not even in the, like, we have to get 18 and 19s done before we can do 20.
But we sent, they've all been sent,
20
18 and
and
19 have
21.
been sent in.
Yeah. No, I don't have anything from or 20s and 21s.
Okay. Thank you. Moving along. Budget.
So what you got in front of you is how it stands after our last meeting, and you guys asked me to do a 4.4 percent increase for salaries across the board. So that's what's being reflected in there.
What was the goal?
5.9.
So we're $107,000 over last year.
Correct.
Go to Schedule A, page 1, and then the back side of it, page 2.
I just did our budget for 2023, and boy, I tell you, that's a whole heck of a new difference for fuel alone. And, oh, just terrible. Food.
So Schedule A, page 2, right there. Yeah, that's Schedule A, right in the second page, Jim.
Okay.
Mm.
Oh, there you are.
Then page 2.
Yep,
Okay.
I got it.
So then general fund, and if you look over, the far right column is the increases or the decreases in the budget. So I just flagged the ones that are the increases. So the general fund is $116,000 of that. 107 over. As you see, there's some decreases. $30,000 less tax, courthouse tax. That was as a result partly of the refinancing.
Oh,
Not sure what the flood 2011 is.
That is, it's not renamed. It's, That's your sheriff's vehicle. I can't add a new Schedule C. You guys push that into its own fund,
Yeah.
and so
Can you rename it?
Do you want me to unprotect it right now?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
That's what that
That's
is.
what that is.
Yep,
Okay,
that's
so then, the county agent's budget is up $16,000. Alcohol monitoring, 4,000. Regional corrections is 30,000 up. The health district is $1,400 less. And the one that is gonna cause problems here that we can't, I don't think it's advisable not to fund because of how it seesaws the budget, is the water district didn't ask for any money this year. So there's $47,000 that isn't gonna be spent, but that isn't a long-term deal, so next year they're gonna want the money. So I think we should fund them at 2 mils or whatever it might be, just to keep this thing, so we're comparing apples to apples, basically. The library is up $7,800, I'm not sure why, that's a request.
Oh, that's their request. Yeah.
Right.
And in the past, they haven't always requested the full 4 mils, and this year they are, and they're not putting in for state aid. So it's just the 4 mils that I got. If you look at theirs,
Yeah,
assistance
no,
schedule.
so why not state aid? Why would they?
She didn't think that we were going to get any or something. I'm not sure. That's just the budget that I received from her.
Okay, so anyway, that's a breakdown on that. So those are the ones to look at, and the general fund is really where it needs to be looked at. So if you go to B, Schedule B, page 4, you can see the year-over-year increases or decreases for the general fund. You have to do what 2022 compared to the 2023 requested, or that actually that is the final appropriation just for now, just to keep the
No.
So most of those are wages, the increases. The recorders is because of the decrease in the state funding on the other half of that position, and we made it up on the recorder's side to keep the salary the same.
Ooh, on the revenue page 3, explain to me again on the 2023 budget revenue why that's 553 and the years before was 939 and 818. What is the where's that 400 and some thousand? Is it because we don't know it yet because we don't have general property tax? Is that what that number is?
Yes.
And when do we know the general?
So that's the number you're trying to arrive at.
That's what we're trying to determine right now.
So your general property tax is going to be your levy of what you decide on now.
That's what we're trying to determine.
So if you look at your schedule, Schedule B, page 1.
Yep.
This one.
Yep.
So all of these are like a formula. So it's bringing from,
Yep.
all these things. This is your revenue, this is your expense, and then it'll come up to what my levy number is, and then that levy number is going to be how much taxes you're going to get.
Okay, so last year was 438. What we have in this 550.
Yep, and that's the difference between it. Yep.
And that's probably.
So on Schedule B, page 4, again, the recorders, we've talked about that already.
And the. Oh Lord, this stupid dry cough.
The Social Security is up 15,000. Information technology is one that is not a department. That is a contract, basically.
That one's a hard one because he's not a department head, he's a contractor, but I don't always know what things, the WAN or the, all these things or whatever. So I've asked him to kind of help me with some of those, but it's made up of like govern soft. So Dakota Programs is within there and different things. And I know one of the changes is Kelly's wanting to move deeds over to go digital. So then that would be adding me and my deputy onto there. So then no,
that's coming out of. Oh yes, that part is yes.
IT.
Just that annual was like $200 and some.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then that's in the IT budget, and so then the IT budget is made up of everybody's IT stuff. But I don't always know what all these things are, so then I asked Travis to kind of help with that.
The glory of the digital world is amazing. Downfall is it costs more money.
and then it gets kind of hard when we're doing up like bills, because he's helped me with the budget, but then I'm trying to decipher where exactly these ones were coming out of, so then that's where we get the issue. So I don't know how to even make this one simpler. It's just kind of its own big beast thing.
Well, what a lot of the drive in this budget is the upgrading of equipment on a schedule, which I've never been a fan of throwing stuff away when it's still working. I've never done it in my own businesses. The other thing that's a driver in this thing is the storage space, the servers.
Yeah.
One thing about a server, it's just like a file cabinet. You batch the file cabinet, all the paperwork's gone. You don't have storage space in the server, and that bad boy dies and it's gone. You're gone of everything. But is it in the cloud? Or do we have stuff gets stored in the cloud? Here? No.
Or automatic backup or anything like that.
Yeah, I'm sure
I
that's all part of it.
think it's backed up here, and then it's backed up on another one. So I think we have two
Separate
backups.
Yeah.
I would sure think so.
Yeah. So I would recommend that we leave the IT budget as it was last year.
Yeah, it was like a 50% increase.
Yes, it was.
So what does that mean he's cutting out? So you just go back to Travis and say, here's what we'll give you. You give us the services that fits in this dollar amount, and once that stops, then you have to bill us. Then if something needs to be fixed, it's going to have to come through approval?
No. We say, here's the money that has been approved. Will that work with you? And he says yes or no. If he says no, then we go find another IT guy. That's how it works. They're a contractor.
Yep.
And so if we allow the contractors to set our budgets, we're in deep trouble. They're not a budget anymore.
Sounds like an engineering group.
And no doubt there's a lot of this that's needed, or some of it.
Sure.
The complexity that was built into this whole system compared to what we had at Tiller Courthouse, which functioned for many years, is dramatic. And the cost is comparable in the raise, in how much more it costs to do it this way than the way we used to do it.
Oh, it looks as though he's doing improvements this year. That's what the additional costs are.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, everything's about the same.
Yeah.
So you just want to tell him he'll take his contract, but just not do the website one time or annual or county shop improvements? That would give you.
I don't want to tell him how to run his business. I think we should just I would approve the money that we've spent last year and let him decide whether or not that fits what services we get for that.
Because at one time, I think they were talking about this repeater that was gonna go on top of the old courthouse to send, and I think we denied that multiple times. And
I want to say that's the county shop internet, that one-time charge that he's got on there too.
The county shop doesn't have any internet?
Yeah.
Yeah, we do. It's really slow. But wouldn't there, I know people don't like grants, but isn't there grants available for? From the federal government is trying to get better technology and stuff too.
Yeah, there are software grants, but they're specified. You just have to dig and look. There are software improvement grants out there.
Is that how you guys would like me to move forward?
What are your wishes?
Is keep it the same as it was in 2022?
Or do you want?
I think I think I mean, the server backup has gone up to 52, but that could be because that's the going rate of the cost of that. You know, some of these are probably expenses that he doesn't have control of himself. That's just what he's being charged, or
Well, for the background, the server backup and the server system is owned by the company that Travis owns. So he does have he has 100% control over that. It's not a pass-through cost.
well, the software cost is that. What's fee is that?
I'm not sure why that went up. Dakota programs I know stayed the same, so I'm not. He did have the. Let me see.
Are you guys?
He had an explanation as to
Are
why.
you guys updating your software,
It
Kelly?
has something to do with Windows 365. Is that what it is? There's some software or something.
Are you guys nonprofit? Yes. Do you know that if you're nonprofit, you can get Microsoft 365 for dirt cheap than Parkview does? Nonprofits. You guys using Microsoft 365? It'll give you up to so many, and then it's like $5 a line versus $20 a person a month. It's expensive. But when COVID happened, everybody went to Teams, and we all love it. We're all electronic. So that's a conversation to discuss.
Okay, do we need more explanation on this, or?
So the software increased
You want to?
from adding Office
Take it
365
down.
license and e-recording license, G Suite price increase.
I bet. I'll ask him if he's applied for nonprofit through Microsoft and got dirt cheap prices.
A nonprofit and governmental are two different entities.
It does have also governmental on there. I mean, it's like some of these are grouped in there that if you are these entities, you can get it cheaper.
So what are your wishes? Do you need more explanation?
I have his sheet right here. If you guys have it, questions about either one, I did give this to you at one of the last meetings.
Yeah. What is? Yeah, but you know I.
Do you want to know?
What's the website? One time, what was he going to do with website? What website?
Looking to update the website. So far, I've received one quote, one-time cost, and then the website hosting is an annual thing.
Yep. Again, technology costs money. Do you guys not want to update the website? Because you guys can we can pick and choose what we want him to do in his.
It's not functioning properly. Like, I can't update anything on it right now, on our own personal pages. I don't know what the fix is, I've never asked, but.
Yeah, we've had to.
Trying to update stuff and.
I just tried to upload the agenda last night, and it wouldn't let me because it said that I wasn't secure or something.
No,
So then
there's
he went and got
something wrong with
a temporary fix, and then I was able to do that. So,
So long story short, it's something that if we want to keep using a website, we will need to have it updated, and that's the cost for it.
I don't know how you come to that. I mean, the website should work. It has worked before. So we need to spend more money in order to have a new website because it isn't working, or because it isn't being maintained.
Okay, so no update the website and no the county shop. Because to meet last year's numbers, you got to cut those things out.
Well, let's see what he wants to cut out. Let's just try it. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Let's just say we could spend $65,000 and have him come and tell us what that gets us.
More information?
Okay.
If he can come next meeting?
But I mean, let's put
Yep.
that number in there now, so we,
Okay.
as we work through this and see how it works. I mean, we haven't okayed any,
Yeah.
this is all just, we
Yep.
don't okay
Yep.
it until we get to the end, so.
Yes. Yep.
So much, but that's so.
Doing that gets us down to 75,535.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. But we need to put in, that water board thing, we need to put that money in there. We're about a dozen different things are come to mind when that happens. First of all, how is the water board running operations without a budget?
Well, why didn't they put in for money? Is
They
it-
have a huge balance right now.
Okay, then
So I guess,
if they don't need the money, they got a huge balance then.
That's what they said to me. And
So the next obvious question is, why do they have excess money?
sure.
And in a budgeting process where you're only supposed to use as much money as you need to run operations, how did we end up with excess money? There's only two answers to that. One is that they over budgeted and charged taxpayers too much money for what, and they never intended to use it, or more importantly, I think this is what the problem is, they have a accounting problem and they're not attributing enough money back to the drain accounts that they have that need to be reimbursed. And when I look at it, that's what it is. There is, the drain funds have been commingled into their overall budget. And so over all these years.
Legal drain funds?
Yeah. Well, the Cooperstone
Well,
one is,
that's
that's
not
a
legal.
quasi,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what I'm saying.
But so if you look at, they were all commingled together.
Okay.
So to go back and figure out how much money was should be in there, how much money is in there, I think that's the only logical way, that there got to be more funds.
I think it was maybe commingled, but they're separate now. He's got them.
They are now, but
Yeah.
when they got separated, the money never got sent back to the funds.
What does the water board get from us? They get a mill? Or what is it?
They, 2 mills is the maximum.
That's what they get?
Yeah, well, they up to 2
They can get
mills.
to,
Right,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's their business, I guess. We can't, they feel that they can operate on what they have, I guess.
Do you want them to
I'd
maybe
be
show up
fine.
at the next meeting, maybe?
I agree.
Well,
If you want to talk about it,
I know whatever you guys want, what,
You know.
I'm just worried
you
that,
know,
so the other thing is it causes, so now we didn't spend the $47,000 this year. Now next year, when we have to spend it, now that's in
Now we're on-
47, and then we start getting this thing
Yeah.
going in here.
Yeah.
But I think at some point, someone's gonna audit the water board and find out that those funds need to go back to the accounts they came out of. And then there won't be the money to do it. And we will be responsible for that as a county commission, anyway, the way the water board funding is worded. But that's, you can do it however we wanna do it. If you think there's money there and they wanna spend it,
Or do you want to put 1 mil?
it doesn't,
they are added into our audit. But
right.
so
But they just audit that year, they don't go back and look at where the funding came from. And maybe that's the way it is, I don't know. So anyway, that's making this look a lot better than it is. It'd be 163,000. We'd be over if it wasn't for that, right?
something like that, yeah.
So where is the general fund expenses, the total general fund expenses?
B 15.
Be what?
15.
15?
Yep. There's an A and a B.
Yeah. Yep. So, oh, what else caught my eye here? When's the budget due, Sam?
At your next meeting, that's when I'm going
That's what
to
I
ask
thought.
you to approve the preliminary budget, because that's when I need to start estimated tax statements.
Mhm.
And then September 6th, or October 6th is when you guys will finalize it.
Yep. Mhm. Can you tell me how much was spent out of the reserve for 2022?
Nothing. Let me make sure of that, but
But there are some things that need to be balanced out of that,
yeah, there's some, ones that we've,
that are over.
yeah, line items that you guys have said to take out of,
So for next meeting, can you tell me how many overages we have in this year's budget to date? And what's expected, because that'll have to be covered out of that reserve.
right? I can do it at the end, as of the end of the month, if that's okay.
Hmm.
The overage expenses you're talking about in the departments, what they went over in their line item?
No,
And
so,
then-
so the general reserve we use as basically errors and omissions.
Right.
So anything that we forgot the budget for.
Yep.
Anything, any screw up that we made.
Yep.
We take it out of that general reserve.
Yep.
So,
And then at the end of the year, do you also, whatever they don't spend over their budget, you put that back into the reserve?
no, so what, with the general fund itself funds all the different
Yep.
entities. At the end of the year, each entity returns its unused money to the general fund. Then the general fund then starts each year, if you look on there, with a carryover from the previous year. But the carryover in the general fund will be all the monies within all the departments combined together back into the general fund
That weren't spent.
that weren't spent, right?
Where's that down page?
Because of course, that money is in the treasury already, so then we're just authorizing it to be spent again. And any money that's left over decreases the amount we have to levy for the next year, the future year. So, what was the increase in the county agent's budget? Why did it increase by $16,000?
No, I don't have it increasing by $16,000.
based on the numbers I put together.
What page is that?
25. Page 25, Schedule C.
Oh, I'm on schedule. Oh, I combined my schedules together.
I only have $3,300 increase if you do the single policy. It's $5,900 more with the family.
Yeah, that's what I see here too, but on the breakdown out of it shows 16,000, that's why I asked the question. I see yours here. Am I correct to assume, Samantha, that is the salary increase? A portion of the salary increase?
A portion of it, yes.
Evident.
Travel went up just a little bit.
Because what number are we supposed to be looking at here? You got the final appropriation when in the end, is that the number we're supposed to be looking at, or is
Yep.
that the requested number?
Yeah, compared to the 22 expenditure, so he's correct, it's about $3,200,
Yeah.
But if you go over to page, if you go over to B4, maybe, no, not B4, too. If you go to, not before that. Here we go. If you go to A, page 2, then it shows a $16,000 increase. Going from levying $30,000 in 22 to levying $47,000 in 23. But that doesn't coincide with the budget, so I wondered where the difference came.
Mm.
It's not on the expense side, so is it on the revenue side, Sam? See, he's correct, its revenues have only went up $3,000. Then if you go to C25
Expenses.
and you look at the why are we carrying a negative balance on revenues into 22? Why did we carry a negative balance into 21?
We didn't.
Huh?
We didn't. That's revenues over and under expenses. So, revenues came under expenses. So we started the year with 55,000, ended the year with 36. So we didn't do any negative balance. It's just that there was over expenses than revenues.
And I'm sure there's a reason, but on Schedule C, page 25, where it says county agents, special reserve funds, special revenue funds, mobile home and penalty of interest, and state aid and homestead credit, what's all that?
Those are revenues that you get from the state for all those things. So it'd be like,
The county agent share
Yeah.
of those things?
yep, all the special funds have, or any budget has them, but within the general fund, it goes into the general fund, not into the individual budgets.
See, so the homestead credit, that's the money that comes back from the state that's making up the property tax,
Sure.
state, but why is the state aid not in the 2022 estimated revenue, I wonder?
We don't budget for it because we don't know. We've never had it within the budget here.
Well, we have it in 21. In the
And
county
we
agent's
had
budget.
some it's in the actuals. We've always gotten it into the actuals. Actual revenue in 2020, we had about 8,000, but we never budgeted for it in 2021.
Yeah, we have it right here.
That's the actual. So
$9,900.
then we never budgeted for the next year. We've only put it in the budget on the actual year. The money that we've actually gotten. We've never put it in the actual budget.
We've never counted it as revenue.
No, not in the budgeting process, but then when we actually got it, then I put it in there.
You put it in
Well,
the
it still comes into the budget, but it
Final
comes in a
budget.
year late.
Yeah. Um,
What is that state aid used for?
It's just it doesn't have a specific purpose, it's just a revenue that's given to the county agents, to be used in the county agents, so state aid is, I don't know how they even comply that.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't have a specific purpose coming from the state, it's just here's some help. State aid.
Well, we like
On your
state
aid.
programs?
It's never targeted towards any specific item. But, so anyway, it shows,
I don't know. I can't find why it's doing that. Everything looks about the same as last year. It shouldn't.
okay, well, next, see if we can figure that out.
Yeah.
Because it's actually showing up on the levy page, so that's another $17,000.
Right. Yeah, because it all is looking about the same. I've compared last year's to this year's, and nothing's going out at me that's where it is. So.
Social Security, I think that should, if you look on B4, Sam. So,
B4. I'm sorry.
yeah, right
Hold
here.
on a second.
So the requested Social Security is $130,539.43, and that's also the final appropriation, but it should have decreased accordingly when the wages decreased.
So that one, the formula doesn't go in the requested amount. The way that Ron has it set up is those ones only calculate when I put it over in the final allowance. Then it'll go.
But what I'm saying is, in the requested amount, it was taking into account the increased wages, and when we decrease the wages,
Yep.
the social security dollar value should decrease also, and it doesn't.
Yep. So I can show you. So it's this number
Mm-hmm.
is a formula. I can't do anything. And the way that he has it set up is that it's formulated for only the final allowance.
Oh.
So even when I put in the requested amount, I won't have these numbers in until I fling it over to the final allowance. For some reason, that's
To the
just-
final column?
Yeah. So that's
But you've got the final allowance in for the wages, doesn't it pull off the wages?
it pulls off the wages of the final. So that's why it's the same. It's not like my number isn't different compared because it's only taking this number.
My guess is it's taking.
It's
My guess is that it's the formula is set up to take from the wrong column.
yeah.
I think it's a formula error.
It's irritated me every year that
I think the formula error. It should be equal this page that
to the
column D,
request.
and it's figuring it on column.
Yeah, I understand that, but I mean, so all you have to do, Sam, is into requested, the total, move the salaries over into the requested, and then it will calculate the correct amount of Social Security.
Say that again.
It'll do it for both the final and the requested though.
So if you moved all these, if you moved this final appropriation into this column on each salary,
Yeah.
then it would do this correctly.
So if I move this over here, then it does this correctly, but it'll switch this one and this one.
Yeah, this.
It's a formula error on Ron's side.
I know, but it can't, how did it keep this here?
Okay, so if it's got the same formula on the requested and on the final.
Yeah.
But it's
The
taking
exact-
it.
It's the exact same one,
But it's taken from the
but it's only
requested.
taking from the final. It won't take from the.
Oh, so this number is actually right?
So that's the right number.
Okay, so the
Oh.
requested number should have been higher.
Should have been higher then.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it's
I got it,
not.
I got it.
Yep.
Yep, I got it.
Yep.
We got there.
Sorry.
I'm with you now. But yeah, and you might want to fix that formula, and that's just an easy thing. Just tell it to take it from that different
one.
column. Yeah, because it's taken from column
He's
E, and it should say D. You know what I mean?
He's having it take it from
Column E. Or
the
F?
M2 salaries.
And that's fine. I was just looking at why there's a difference.
Yeah.
As long as we're taking it from the final, it's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Silly formulas.
The only thing that I could find for the county agent that I'm trying to rack my brain around is that actual revenues in 2021 is lower, but
What page are you on? Look at that.
C25. I'm still trying to figure that one out as to why it's no. That's not it.
Well, I mean, it's obvious why it is. It's because if you look at the balance, the January 1st balance in 2021, it's 55,000, and if you look at the January 1st balance in 2022, it's 36,000.
Mhm.
Add in the $3,000 that goes over, and you get to $16,000.
Right.
Yeah.
Was there a second half to those COVID funds that we were supposed to try to apply for, or did you?
Yep, those will come in September, I think.
Oh my.
And what are those? Are they specific or are they open for anything?
I think there's some different things, but it can't be used for like offsetting debt. It can't go for pension. It can't go for
Wayne's new fishing boat.
no, can't do that.
Can't go for that. No
Sorry.
such luck.
Check bridges with.
Yeah.
I think it can. It's pretty broad of what it can be used for. But those are the same COVID funds that we used to offset the budget at the last budget cycle.
Yep.
Oh, it's just phase 2 or period 2, phase
Yeah.
2, whatever.
Yep.
3 or 4.
Well, we don't have it.
Not yet.
When is the payout on those? Do you
Huh.
know? You and the payout is on those?
Like when we're gonna receive them.
Yep.
September, I think, somewhere around there. is
Okay.
When that second half is supposed to come, I think. I think that's what Connie had said. Said it was supposed to come in
September?
September.
How much was it?
I
My
think
gosh.
another 100 and something thousand. I think.
That's what the water's there.
I have a whole thing of water here.
I drank the good stuff, not the spiked.
So Jamie, why that drastic increase in regional corrections?
I would guess probably from our people in jail. I don't know. I never talked to Amber about it, but that would have been something that she would have done. Or I don't know if the costs have gone up for the jail. I know at one point they're 75, they went up to $80 a day or whatever.
I think that one is because of that negative balance.
That fixes it.
Huh?
That fixes it to 29,000.
It started January 1st with a negative balance of 15,000.
Right, but I mean, the 29,000 levy will fix that negative balance.
Correct.
So we don't know how many budget items are over right now, do we?
So do you want the whole budget or just the line item? Because like you went $100 over on county agents equipment, but they also have additional salaries within their budget that they're probably not going to use. And then there was a 4,001 from the general audit, which I need to look into.
No, you have to go line item because we have no way of making sure that those line items aren't spent.
Right.
Yeah.
So within the general fund, there's $4,429.64 of line items that are going over.
Mhm.
Do you want me to go through all of the other ones?
How much did we spend over the 21?
21. That number should be in there. Nothing. Do you want me to go through that one of December?
No,
Since
it's fine. So decrease the reserve to 200,000.
Okay.
Are we required to give so much in reserve every year? I mean, we have to keep so much back or not?
Well, I would think
Just just because if we don't, we have no way of making up.
No, I mean, but wait, is it required by law to have some percentage in there or not? You follow what I'm saying?
Oh, there's a maximum. You can only have 75% of the total budget.
Okay, that's, okay.
That made it about 23,000.
Yeah.
Okay, so how much is in there? In the
Now there's 200 in there.
200 in the reserve?
The
Yeah,
reserve.
we just knocked it down. We just knocked it down to.
And then you transfer that, and so that goes into the revenue part of
That will
the,
offset levy.
So now my general
that
levy,
550
So, no.
that we're short
no,
in.
so,
that
so
one. So no, right there. That one. Yep, that one.
Just think of it this way, a
So that
decrease
bottom
in,
number?
a decrease in expense
Yep,
decreases the levy.
yep,
Yeah, so all we did was we decreased in expense.
yep.
And now we decreased the levy, so it's getting closer to matching. Now we're $23,000 off from where we were last year.
Okay. Okay.
Let's just leave it there for now and run this through and then,
see where we come out,
yeah.
see if Travis can come next meeting.
I want to talk to Travis and to Tom.
I think so, don't you?
Do you want to talk anymore to Jeff?
Not until we finalize it, I suppose.
Oh, finally, what now? I didn't hear your question, I'm sorry.
Do you want to talk to Jeff about the rest of his budget?
I didn't have any questions on his budget, did you?
No, I think after we had found the error or whatever, I think it was.
I think you're good, Jeff.
Well, I mean, till we,
Yep.
yeah, I mean, till we scrutinize this again, I mean,
Yep.
Do we want Tom here, or one of our board members to see what their
I-
take on that?
I have Travis and Tom to be here at the next
Okay.
meeting.
Okay.
At least they can, then at least you know what
Yep.
they're thinking, you know.
Right.
So, okay.
Did they present a budget? It was, so, well, we
Just-
have to have a budget.
just not-
And whether or not we're gonna fund it or not, we have to have, whether or not it's funded or not, we have to have a budget, because,
Yeah, no, I just got a zero budget. I mean, they submitted one, but it's got nothing on it, so.
you know, it needs to show each line item on what they're gonna spend, and then
Sure.
offset by the money they have on
On-hand.
just exactly the same way we do all these budgets,
Yep.
except it's gonna be a zero levy because there's enough money on hand to fund it.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, guys, old courthouse, new courthouse.
I do have one thing. The AC unit in the social services side went completely out. We had Logan Sherlock here looking into it, and the whole thing needs to be replaced. So he quoted me $4,400 to replace it, and that's labor and everything.
That's a cheap unit. That's a good
To
thing.
go ahead with that. They have a fan right now blowing from one side of the building to the other.
Is it one like that?
No,
No,
it
it's
would
on
be,
top.
It's not a split?
it would
outside-
just be the same that we
outside.
have to, yeah.
So is there that's under general courthouse repairs, huh?
General courthouse.
Right.
Get out of.
Do you have funds there in general courthouse to do it?
Remaining for this year.
Okay, I'll make a motion to
Well,
Well,
repair.
no, it's gotta be presented first, huh?
yeah.
Do we have a,
Well, I'm wondering, can they take one of the minis out of the old courthouse?
no, these are the residential ones sitting on.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Okay,
It needs to be what now?
We need to have, we need, in order to approve it, we need to have an estimate or something that's in writing.
Hey, yeah, he just gave that to me over the phone. And
No,
he
I
just said
mean,
it's gonna cost you about, it's gonna cost you $4,400 to replace it with my labor. That's what he told me.
I'll have them just put it, right, put it, send it in an email so we have something
Sure.
that we approve something.
yeah.
Okay, and then I'll put it on the next month's underneath the expenses side to
Do
get
you,
approved.
so can I have him go ahead with it now? If he puts this in.
It's gotta get fixed.
Do we have, was it a budgeted amount for that, for courthouse repair? Is it under, is there money in there?
There's money under
For
general
that.
courthouse.
So we have budgeted money for it, but we have to approve a dollar amount for that. So we need an actual, more so than a little.
Can I have him give me this of the 4,400 in a thing and then tell him to go ahead, or do you guys want to see it in 2 weeks?
So we could approve that tentatively if the invoice is $4,400 to go ahead. Yes, we could do, but we have to have
An
something in
invoice.
writing, yeah.
Yeah.
Because we are in charge of that general budget, not a department
Okay.
head.
So the motion would be to accept the repairs of the cost of
No,
four.
Tentatively approve the $4,400 estimate pending written confirmation.
So that means he can install it though. So if it is 4,400, he can install it. Okay.
We approved it, yeah, we'll approve payment up to $4,400, right?
So I make a motion what John said.
Pre-approve what you're doing. Pre-approve.
Okay, we got a motion on the floor for an approval of $4,400 toward a new air conditioning unit,
Social service.
pending
Written invoice.
invoice. Do I have a second?
Yeah.
Scott, second?
Well, we gotta get it fixed. I mean,
Yeah. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the vote. There'll be roll call. John?
Aye.
Scott?
aye.
Steph?
Aye.
Mark says aye. Motion carries. Anything else?
I motion to meeting adjourned.
No, you're not there yet.
That's
Oh,
my-
I thought we were done.
That's my thing.
State historical, nothing. Okay.
Okay.
Future business?
Well, the budget's on there, of course.
Yep.
I have the budget, and then I have the engineering, that engineering funding thing, and then
We'll probably have something back from state, I suppose, again. Jamie, on usually you're gonna look into,
Think you
That-
got that?
Yeah.
That done?
No,
No.
the road stuff.
road stuff.
Oh,
road
yeah,
stuff,
yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to get that from Samantha if she can give me that agreement.
Okay.
Okay, anything else? Hearing none, we'll entertain a motion for adjourn.
That would be me.
Yeah. Scott made a motion to adjourn.
Stephanie.
Second by Stephanie. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next meeting will be August 4th at 2:30.